Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing that news and stuff video that I promised you, and because I was so busy with moving and everything that comes along with that, it's like a week or two later than I had really wanted to film it, and because of that, this is the largest news video that I will have ever done on my channel. I actually already pre-saved all of the images so that when I go to edit tomorrow, I'll have them like ready for me on my computer, and there are a total of 132 images. So that's more than any other news video that I've done in the past. So settle in, grab a drink. This is gonna be a long one. I've got my giant thing of water because I know that I'm gonna need to hydrate as I keep talking. And then also, you're kind of getting a little sneak peek of my new bookshelves, but you will never believe the way that it is set up based on where I am right now. I'm actually sitting on the floor and I'm making a separate video about setting up my library room, but I've had some like floor sloping issues with bookshelves, so we're in the process of trying to get all that fixed. So right now, this is not the normal setup that I will have like going forward in the future, but this is what we're doing for today, so here we go. Okay, so starting off with special editions, The Broken Binding released their mock-up of The Dark Mirror by Samantha Shannon. This is the 5th book in the Bone Season series, and I personally am like dying for this book. I actually finished reading book 2, The Mime Order, like a couple of days ago, and oh my god, that ending, I was just in shock, and I'm so excited for books 3 and 4 to arrive because I like need to know what's gonna happen next. So I just know that I'm gonna be like really dying for this 5th book too. Next up, Fairy Loot announced their editions of Castle in the Air and House of Many Ways by Diana Wynne Jones. These are books 2 and 3 in the Howl's Moving Castle series. These are absolutely stunning. They match perfectly with Howl's, which was previously released. I really especially love the cover of House of Many Ways. Like, all of those roses are just so pretty. And they actually go on sale on Andrew's birthday, which is January 21st. Next up, Fairy Loot revealed their editions for the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. And oh my god, these are so beautiful. I love them so much. Like, I love the illustrated covers. I love the naked hardbacks. I love the sprayed pages. Let's just say that these are flawless and I am powerless to resist. Then Illumicrate revealed their edition of House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. I'm obviously a little late on this one. It's currently in their Illuma shop, so you can order a copy of it now if you are interested. Afterlight revealed a special edition of Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I also really love this edition. This is a upcoming like swimming romance, and I just think that the sprayed pages with like the water that looks like a pool are so pretty. Next up, we have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I am so excited for this book. I really loved the Shepherd duology, and I think that this Barnes & Noble edition with the sprayed pages is like super lovely. Like, I really like the sword on the pages. I have to say, like, overall, I didn't really like this cover as much as I was expecting to, but I'll get into that a little bit later in the cover reveal section. Then the Dusty Shop announced that they're going to be re-releasing their dust jackets for the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, and there are also dust jackets that are made to fit the paperback edition, so if that's what you have, if you don't have hardcovers, you can still get in on these if you like them. I'm not going to show every single one, but Assassin's Blade and Queen of Shadows by far are my favorite 2 dust jackets in the series. One thing to note is that these all have foiling on them, so anything like on the spine that is gray is actually going to be like silver foiling. And these are being released on Black Friday. Then we got the Broken Binding edition of Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. This again is a really lovely edition. I think it is so pretty, but I'm kind of torn because I'm hoping that Wraithmarked will do another edition, and their Sword of Kaigen edition for M.L. Wang was just so stunning. So I'm like wondering what I should do, but I think I'm probably going to end up getting this one too, just because it is really pretty. Fairy Loot revealed their editions of the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. The cover design is by Bluely Boo, who I love. Their art is just amazing, and I've purchased some of their dust jackets in their own shop for some of the other books that I have on my shelves. So I'm really excited that they're doing these. I think that they came out stunning. I really love the color scheme on these. I think that they're just gorgeous. Then the Broken Binding announced that they're going to be launching a new subscription in 2025. It's called the SFNF subscription, and this is going to focus on new releases in both science fiction and fantasy. So their current subs, their fantasy sub and their sci-fi sub, focus on backlist books, and this will be a subscription that focuses on new releases. Then Lilac Library revealed their editions of Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and these are by far the best Carissa Broadbent editions that I've seen, like the best covers for this series. I think that they just blow everything else that's been revealed out of the water. I'm absolutely going to be trying to get my hands on these when they get released, but I'm betting that it's going to be like a tough fight for them. Then the Broken Binding did the full cover reveal for Death's End, which is the next book in the Three Body Problem series. This is part of their sci-fi sub. They had already previously revealed the cover, but now they've revealed the entire cover art. So from like front cover to back cover, you can see how the one piece spans both portions. It's super beautiful. The Broken Binding also revealed an edition of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. This is Grady's next horror release. I really like their edition of this too. I think the sprayed pages are super cool, and this is currently up to purchase in their shop. So there's no wait for this one. You can like go and buy it right now if you're interested. It is a pre-order though. It doesn't come out until January, but it's currently on sale. The Broken Binding also revealed that they will be doing Aragon special editions in 2025. There's currently a sign-up sheet for anybody who is interested that helps them gauge like how many copies they should be ordering. So if that's something that you want to see, you should definitely sign up for that, and then you'll also be contacted earlier than general sale, usually because you had signed up for the interest list. Next is the Waterstones special edition of Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark. I love the Waterstones edition. I think this is so gorgeous. You can bet I pre-ordered this one the second that I saw it. There is a very good chance that this is going to be the Fairy Loot young adult book for January. I'm not subscribed to the young adult box anymore, so I had to get my hands on this one. Fairy Loot also announced part 2 of the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. So this set includes books 4, 5, and 6. They have not mentioned anything about reprinting the first set, but I did see a lot of comments on there asking that. But if you did already get books 1, 2, and 3, you can now complete your set once these go up in their shop. There's also a Waterstone special edition of A Language for Dragons by S.F. Williamson. This is so cool looking too. I really like this edition. I think this is another YA book. I don't actually know too much about this one, but I do really like this cover design. Then there is an Indigo special edition of My December Darling by Lauren Asher. This is set in the same world as the Lakeview Billionaires, so at Lake Wisteria. And this image that I'm sharing also includes the original cover, which is this like mint color. I kind of wanted to save myself from having to save another image in the cover reveal portion, so you can see both of them side by side here. And this one just came out on Friday, so even though it's already released, I still wanted to highlight it since it's very seasonally appropriate and it's also such a cute cover. Then Christina Lauren announced that there's going to be a deluxe special edition of Love and Other Words. It's really pretty. I like the pastel color scheme. This one's going to be coming out in May of 2025. Next, we have the Broken Binding special edition of The Way of Edan by Philip Chase. This cover is so pretty. Like, this cover really makes me want to read this book / go and be in that fantasy world, because it looks very like Lord of the Rings-esque and just very like classic, just beautiful fantasy. I just think they did such an exceptional job with this cover. Next, we have the Barnes & Noble and Indigo exclusive editions of King of Envy by Anna Huang. This is the next book in the series. I really like the Barnes & Noble editions. I think that the light color scheme is really pretty, but you have a couple of options. Then Owl Crate revealed their special edition of Gothicana by Runex. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm not 100% sure. I really don't know much about this book, but I have seen it pop up online a lot. I believe it's like a dark romance, and the Owl Crate edition is definitely very gothic and dark in nature and looks pretty lovely. Then we have the Waterstone special edition of Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. Sue Lynn Tan is the author of the Daughter of the Moon Goddess series, and her next book looks really, really pretty. I absolutely love this UK edition. Next up, the Dragonlance Chronicles by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman is getting a special edition. So it's actually a hardcover with beautiful gold foiling, and it includes Dragons of the Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, and Dragons of Spring Dawning. And this one's coming out on February 4th. Then the Bookish Box revealed their special editions of Powerless and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. These are really pretty. I especially like the enamel inlaid design that is like of the weapons on the covers. I think that these are super cool, but I have not read these books yet, so I'm not like jumping to buy them, but let me know. I've heard like kind of mixed things, so I'm just not sure. Then the Broken Binding revealed special editions for an entire series. It's the War for the Rose Throne series by Peter McLean, and it includes 4 books, and they're selling all of them at the same time in one go. I really like the covers and everything. I do think they're really pretty, but I also really don't know much about the series either. Then we're gonna do like a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition lightning round. So I'm not gonna talk too much, but I'm just gonna give you like title, author, and release date for these, outside of the first one actually. So first up we have Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. I love the Barnes & Noble cover, but I also love the original cover, which is like a teal. I really loved her last book, which was Dungeons and Drama. That book was so good, and I'm really eager to read her next novel. But the Barnes & Noble one has this pretty purple cover. This one's coming out on December 31st, so not much more of a wait, which is really exciting. Then we have Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. This one's coming out on April 8th of 2025. Then we have Bond of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. This is the second book after the one that I just mentioned. This one's coming out in October of 2025. Pretty quick turnaround on these. I feel like Blood of Hercules has been getting a ton of buzz lately, and that's probably why they like jumped on getting word out about a book 2 already. Then we have The Wish Switch by Lynn Painter. This is Lynn Painter's first middle grade novel, and this edition is so cute. This one's coming May 2025. Then we have Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. This is her next adult rom-com, and it has an exclusive colorway for the cover. This one's coming July 15th, 2025. Next is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. This one again has an exclusive colorway for the cover, and this one's coming June 17th, 2025. And then lastly, we have The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose, and this one's coming April 15th, 2025. Okay, one category down. So now moving on to cover reveals, which is definitely the bulk of this video, though I do have a ton of adaptation news as well. So first we got the cover for Sunrise at the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel-ish novel to the Hunger Games series. I don't want to say full prequel because the prequel I guess would be Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but this one takes place between that book and the main series, and this one follows the Hunger Games that occurred when Haymitch was one of the people fighting. So I'm pretty excited for this one. This comes out on March 18th of 2025. Definitely one of my most anticipated books for next year. And speaking of most anticipated books for next year, we got the UK cover reveal for The Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. The first book, Heartless Hunter, was so good, or Crimson Moth rather, for the UK title, which is actually the one that I own. Really just was completely surprised and blown away by how much I loved that book. And I think that this cover, the UK cover for book 2, is so gorgeous. This one comes out February 18th of 2025, and I'm really excited to see what Fairy Loot is going to do with their edition. I know that they will be doing the sequel edition for this one. Now we have the Night and the Moth covers. So we have the US cover and the UK cover. They're extremely similar, except the cropping on them is different. On the US cover, you can see like the hair and like the arm of the girl, whereas on the UK one it's cropped a little bit lower and you don't get any of that like hair mouth stuff going on. And I think I like the UK one better, but again, I just am like disappointed. I thought that this cover was going to be just spectacularly beautiful, and for some reason I just don't love it. But I am so excited to read the book. Like, it doesn't really matter what the cover looks like because I have a feeling that I'll love it. But yeah, I just was expecting something very different. This one comes out in May of 2025. Next is the cover for Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by Victoria Schwab. Victoria always gets really lovely covers, and I have a feeling that there are going to be an astronomical number of special editions for this book, so I'm just sitting back waiting for those to be revealed, and I'm so excited to get to read this one. Victoria has always been one of my favorite authors, and I'm just really excited to see what's next from her. This one comes out on June 10th of 2025. Then we got the US and UK cover reveals for Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was so excited when Taylor announced her next book. It's been a while since we got her last one, which was Carrie Soto. I think Carrie Soto was last. She's kind of been focused on adaptation stuff. So when she had been counting down to news, I thought it was going to be more adaptation news, but I was really excited when it ended up being a book. It sounds so good. It follows like a woman who is working at NASA, and that just sounds really incredible. This one comes out June 3rd of 2025. Next is the cover for The Amber Owl by Juliette Merlier. This one comes out February 25th, 2025, and I really love the cover for this one. I think it is so gorgeous. Then we have the cover for Thrill Ride by Amy Ratcliffe. I'm so excited to read this book. It's a rom-com and it is centered around a theme park, and Amy is one of the biggest Disney fans that I have ever met, and she has been to Disney like 100 million times. So I feel like if anyone could write a very accurate and very moving theme park romance, it would absolutely be Amy. This one's coming out on March 25th of 2025, and I am like counting down the days. Then we have a cover for The Book That Held Her Heart by Mark Lawrence. This is the third and final book in the Book That Wouldn't Burn series. This one's coming out in April of 2025. Then Del Rey revealed their updated cover for Red Seas Under Red Skies by Locke Lamora, by Scott Lynch. This is the second book after Lies of Locke Lamora, and I really like this cover as well. It's a paperback release only. Unfortunately, I do wish that these were available in hardcover, but I do think that these covers are super beautiful, and since they are releasing like new covers, I'm kind of hopeful that that means that there's potentially news of book 4 that could be happening like sometime. This one's coming out on July 8th of 2025. Next is the cover for Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. Really excited about this one. This is Ashley Poston's next adult romance. I really like the cover of this one. I feel like she always has such great color combinations for her covers. I'm also like pretty excited to see what Fairy Loot is going to do with their edition, because they also tend to do some really beautiful color combinations. This one comes out June 17th of 2025. Oh, and also like I'm pretty interested in this one too, because I feel like it's Ashley going a little bit back to her roots, because she wrote a YA contemporary romance like many years ago that was heavily like revolved around music, and it seems like there's definitely a musical element to this new book as well. Next is the cover for Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the 6th and final book in the From Blood and Ash series. This one is coming on June 10th, 2025, and with the news of book 6, I imagine that Fairy Loot and Illumicrate will be revealing / releasing their second half of each of the series. Next is the cover for Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. The first printing is so pretty. I really like this. I love the sprayed pages, and I believe this is Julie Soto's first like romantasy. She has written some very popular romances in the past few years, and she definitely has a very strong following, so I'm excited to see what she's gonna do in a new genre. This one's coming out July 8th of 2025. Next up we have the cover for Ascension by S.T. Gibson. This is the second book after Evocation, and what's interesting about this one to me is that the color scheme is the color scheme that Fairy Loot used on their edition edition for evocation. So I'm curious if that means that for the second book, they'll just kind of flip it and use the traditional evocation colorway on Ascension. I do think the red and gold like goes really well together. Next, we have the cover for Zomcom by Olivia Dade, and I think this cover is just so much fun. I really love how bright it is and how much everything just like pops. And I did not read the synopsis, but just going by cover alone, I feel like I would really like this book. It seems like it has a lot of things that I'm going to enjoy. It's definitely a romance, and I'm assuming that there's some kind of zombie apocalypse type thing happening. It seems very up my alley. And same goes for this next one, which is Roll for Romance by Lenora Woods. I think this cover is so cute. I just really love it like so much. It also kind of reminds me of the Christy Boyce books that I was mentioning earlier, but this is an adult romance. This one comes out July 15th of 2025, and this one I know follows a girl who has always been kind of reluctant to join her friends' like D&D group, but I think like something happens and she ends up joining, and it looks very cute. Next is the cover for A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the second book after The Tainted Cup, which is in the shadow of the Leviathan series. And from what I understand, this is going to be more of like, not like a continuation of the first story, but like a second murder mystery potentially. I'm also really hoping that The Broken Binding will potentially reprint their edition of The Tainted Cup and release it along with whatever they do for this book, since it ended up being such a popular book this year. The sequel is coming out on April 1st of 2025. Then we have the cover for The Love Haters by Catherine Sumter. This one's coming May 20th, 2025, and I really like this cover too. It's also very bright. Then we have the US and UK covers for Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark. So I showed you the Waterstones exclusive edition earlier, but you can see, again, it's just kind of like different cropping for the US version versus the UK version, and I do think I like the UK version better. Oh gosh, I love this cover. Then we got a cover for Love at First Sighting by Mallory Marlowe. I have had her first book, Love and Other Conspiracies, on hold at my library for so long, and I'm still waiting for it to come in, but I'm really excited for this next one too. It looks so cute. I just really love this cover. This one's coming August 12th of 2025. Next up is the cover for The Twisted Throne by Danielle L. Jensen. This is book 5 in the Bridge Kingdom series. This one's coming April 8th of 2025, and there was a bit of a delay in getting these next books out because it actually got picked up by Random House, so it's being traditionally published, and I really like the Random House covers for the rest of the series, and I think that this next cover is also really pretty. Next up is the US cover for A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. This one's coming on June 3rd of 2025, and as soon as I saw this cover, I was like, this reminds me exactly of the cover of Art of Destiny by Wesley Chu. This edition also has gold gilded pages and is really pretty, but I do think the cover is very similar to the Wesley Chu books, which is funny because then we have the UK cover reveal for the same book, and I feel like this one is really similar to the Fathom Folk cover by Eliza Chan. I don't know, I just feel like both of them like really remind me of other covers. And then speaking of Eliza Chan, we also got a cover reveal for Tideborn, which is the next book after Fathom Folk. Again, super beautiful cover art, and this one's coming in March of 2025. Then we got a cover for Tusk Love by Thea Guanzin. So this book is a fictional book that is referenced many times in Critical Role's Mighty Nine campaign by the character Jester. It's a romance novel. She talks about how much she loves it all the time, but it didn't actually exist. It was just part of the campaign, and I think it's so fun that they're actually going to be releasing the book now. So it's obviously like a fantasy romance, and very cool that they have the author who wrote The Hurricane Wars penning this novel as well. This one's coming July 1st of 2025. Then we got the cover for Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. I really like this cover. This one is a thriller. We're following a serial killer who is much older now, but I think ends up in a situation where she needs to just like commit one last murder. This one's coming August 12th, 2025. Then we have Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. This cover is just so lovely. I really like the branches and the crown, and then like the pink flowers and the green. I think pink and green is just such a beautiful color combination, and I think that this first printing of the sprayed pages is so pretty. But anyway, this is Devney Perry's first romantasy novel. She's written a ton of cowboy romances and romantic suspense. And this one's being published by Red Tower in May of 2025. Then we have the US cover reveal for Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. So we saw the Waterstones UK edition in the previous section, but this is the US one, and the first printing of the US one will also have these really pretty magenta sprayed pages, and this one's coming in January of 2025. Then we got a cover for Heartstrings by Ivy Fairbanks. This is the second book in the Love in Galway series. So the first book was Morbidly Yours, which is another one that I've had on hold for a really long time. This one is a romance, and it follows an American medical student and an Irish songwriter, and it's coming out on August 12th of 2025. Then we got a cover for the Knights of the Tay Realm coloring book, which I am really excited about. It's by Aleph Vernon, and I just love their Taylor Swift art so much. I actually have a ton of their prints. Like, I've purchased them from their print shop because they're just so pretty. And they are two of my favorite things, Taylor Swift and fantasy. And anytime that Taylor wears a new outfit, they always have an art piece, so quick. I don't even know how they can turn it around that quickly, but their art is just amazing. So I'm really excited to get this coloring book. This one's coming out on March 11th of 2025. Then we got a cover for Overgrowth by Mira Grant. This was picked up by Tor Nightfire, and they also acquired another Mira Grant title, but this is the first one that's going to be released, and it's coming on May 12th of 2025. Then we got a cover for Between These Broken Hearts by Lexi Ryan. This is set in the same world as her first fairy duology series, and she had written another standalone that came out this year, and I believe that this is a companion to that one, and it's another standalone. This one's coming out July 22nd of 2025. Then we have the traditionally published cover for Made for You by Lynn Painter. So we saw this B&N special edition earlier, and this is the original colorway. This one's described as Pretty Woman meets While You Were Sleeping, and it comes out on July 15th of 2025. Then we got a cover for Disney Adults, Exploring and Falling in Love with a Magical Subculture. This is by AJ Wolf, who is the person that runs the Disney food blog account on Instagram, and it's a blog and everything. So I'm pretty excited about this one. Next is the cover for Behooved by M. Stevenson. This cover is so whimsical. I really, really just love the color scheme, and I really love the beautiful horse. I think that this is just really stunning. This one comes out May 20th of 2025. Next is the cover for A Letter from the Lonesome Shore by Sylvia Catherall. This is the conclusion to the Sunken Archive duology. The first book, A Letter to the Luminous Deep, was released earlier this year, and this is book 2, and again, super beautiful cover. This one's coming in May of 2025. Then we have a cover for Ravenloft, Heir of Strahd by Delilah S. Dawson. This is a D&D book, and it's revolving around the Curse of Strahd campaign, which I'm pretty excited about. Strahd is a super famous vampire within the D&D realm. This one's coming spring of 2025. Then we have a cover for Overruled by Lana Ferguson. This one looks like a lawyer romance. It looks very fun. And this one's coming July 1st of 2025. Then we have the cover for Faithbreaker by Hannah Kaner. This is the third and final book in the Fallen Gods trilogy. This one's coming out April 1st of 2025. Then we have the cover for Once a Villain by Vanessa Len. This is the third and final book in the Monster series. Next is the cover for Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. This is his next horror novel, and it's coming April 29th, 2025. Then we have the cover for Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. This is Lisa Jewell's next thriller, and this one is coming June 24th of 2025. Then we have the cover for Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler. This is an adult romance, and this one's coming June 24th, 2025. We also got a cover for The Library at Hellbore by Cassandra Cobb. This is a new fantasy dark academia novel, and it has really pretty cobalt sprayed pages on the first print run. This one's coming July 22nd of 2025. Then Bloom announced that they have acquired Sierra Simone's Thorn Chapel series, so they're going to be releasing all of them again with new covers. Those new covers will begin being released on March 4th of 2025. Next is the cover for Yuli by S.J. Jones. This is the third book in the Guardians of the Dawn series. It's coming in August of 2025, and I just have to say, I feel like the cover on this one is very blurry. I know that the rest of them too were meant to had like intentionally be a little bit blurred, but I feel like this one is like too blurry. It almost looks like it's just a poor resolution. Next is the cover for Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. This is an adult romance coming May 20th of 2025. Then we have the cover for Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This is book 3 in the Powerless series. So I'm including here the US cover, which is like the traditional regular one, and then also the Waterstones exclusive edition, which I think is just really pretty. I love the, again, like the pink and green color combo is just gorgeous. Then we have a cover for Enigma by Runex. This is the author who wrote Gothicana, and this is a dark academia romantasy, and it's coming on April 29th of 2025. Next is the cover for The Curse That Binds by Laura Thalassa. This is the prequel book to Bewitched, and this one's coming July 1st, 2025. And then last but not least, I have the cover reveal for Beautiful Exile by Catherine Coles. I think it's the Broken Harbor series, and there is an original edition, and then there's also a deluxe like special edition that has sprayed pages, which is really pretty. And Catherine Coles is one of the authors that I'm like most looking forward to starting reading in the very near future. This one's coming out March 18th of 2025. Then finally, moving on to book news, our next category, I have to kick things off with Taylor Swift. Taylor's releasing the official Eras Tour book, and this is going to be released exclusively at Target for Black Friday. You can get it there in person on Black Friday, or it will be available online the following day. Supposedly it will be limited quantity, but like they have to know how many people would be trying to get that book. So I imagine that they're gonna stock up. I haven't yet decided if I'm gonna brave the crowds and try to get it in person or just hope to get it online. Next up, The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater is being adapted into a graphic novel, and we actually got the cover for it already, and I really like it. I think that the art style matches the tone of the series incredibly well, and I feel like the characters definitely match the way that I pictured the characters when reading that book. It's being written by Stephanie Williams and illustrated by Sass Mildredge, and it will be coming out on August 5th of 2025. Next up, this is already available to read, but again, it's seasonally appropriate, so I wanted to include it, and that's the Under the Mistletoe collection, which is part of the Amazon Originals. So this is a series of novellas by popular romance authors, and they're all holiday themed. So we have stories from Ali Hazelwood, Olivia Dade, Tessa Bailey, Alexis Daria, and Alexandra Belfleur. Then we got a title reveal for Lucy Jane Wood's next novel, and it's called Uncharmed. Everybody, I feel like, has been obsessed with Rewitched this season, so I feel like everyone will be excited about her next book, which is coming out September 25th of 2025. Then Simon & Schuster announced that they acquired a YA romantasy duology from M.A. Kuznar. The first book is called Forest of Hearts, and it is a rich and dark retelling of Snow White. The first book will publish in 2025, and then the sequel will follow in 2026. Then we got the title reveal for Sylvia Moreno Garcia's next book. It is called The Bewitching, and it is about witchy women, which I cannot even imagine how good that's going to be. This one's coming July 15th of 2025. Then we got a title reveal for The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Canas. This one is set in Mexico in 1765 after a plague outbreak, and it'll be coming from Berkeley in summer of 2025. We also got a title reveal for T. Kingfisher's next book, which is called Hemlock and Silver. I really love the title, and this one's coming August 19th of 2025. Then we got a title for M.A. Carrick's next book, which is The Sea Beyond. This was acquired by Orbit Books. It's a historical fantasy duology that is set in the Spanish Golden Age, and it's inspired by the Fae. The first novel will be published in summer of 2026. Then it was announced that Anne of Avenue A will be published. This is by Audrey Balaza and Emily Harding. And this book will be a retelling of Jane Austen's Persuasion, set in the East Village in New York City. They previously did Emma on 83rd Street, and I think they might have done another one too, but I've been meaning to read their first book, so I'm excited that they're, continuing on with their Jane Austen retellings. Then it was announced that The Deal by Elle Kennedy is going to be getting a collector's edition in 2025. The cover has not yet been revealed, but just the announcement that it's coming, actually specifically on July 15th of 2025. And then this is a piece of very nostalgic news, but if you read the Click series by Lacey Harrison, it's been announced that the author is coming back and writing a new adult novel following our members of the Pretty Committee. So I'm pretty excited to see what all of them would be up to nowadays. Okay, and then last category, adaptations, which we actually have a lot of news for. So first up is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren is getting adapted. It's getting adapted for Netflix by Alloy Entertainment. I really liked this book a lot. It's one of the better Christmas romances that I've read, and I think it would make a really fun film, so I'm pretty excited to see this one come to life. And then in that announcement, there was one line that said that Tiffany Paulson is currently working on adapting Lynn Painter's Mr. Wrong Number, and Lynn Painter posted that shortly after because she said she did not even know she was allowed to reveal that news, but here it was buried within this article, so also exciting if you're a Lynn Painter fan. Then it was announced that A Good Girl's Guide to Murder got renewed for a second season over at Netflix. I didn't love the first season, but I'll continue watching, why not? Next up, amid all of the allegations against Neil Gaiman, it's been announced that Good Omens Season 3, which had been greenlit for a full series order, is now only going to be one 90-minute episode. Production for the season had already been underway, but it was halted in September when a lot of women came forward about Neil Gaiman. Season 3 was meant to follow the sequel story that Neil and Terry Pratchett had dreamed up before Terry passed away, and Neil had contributed to writing the series finale of the show, but they've since announced that he won't be working on it any further once production resumes, and he will also not be listed as an executive producer. Then, this is a bit of gossip, but The Hollywood Reporter revealed that Warner Brothers is quietly developing a Game of Thrones film. So it's set within the world of Game of Thrones, so within Westeros, but it doesn't give any other hints, nothing about the time frame. We don't know if it's going to be in the Game of Thrones time, in the House of the Dragon time, in another time period, anything is possible. Then Amazon MGM Studios is going to be adapting Mass Effect for a television series. No news on casting, but I feel like this is one that a lot of people would be really looking forward to. And then the team behind The Expanse adaptation by James S.A. Corey is also working on an adaptation of James S.A. Corey's new series. The trilogy is called The Captives' War. The first book was just released in August. It was called Mercy of the Gods, and it's being created for Amazon MGM Studios, and the people behind the project, again, are the same ones who worked on The Expanse, but they've formed a production company, and it sounds like they also have some more deals with Amazon for other series, and those should also be announced in the near future. Then XO Kitty is getting a season 2. It's coming to Netflix on January 16th of 2025, so really not much longer to wait. Then Lauren Oliver's adult mystery thriller, The Girl in the Lake, is being adapted by Scarlett Johansson's production company, and it seems as though Scarlett is potentially going to play the lead once she reviews the script. However, both the book and the script have not yet been written, so really early days on this one. And pretty wild to sell a story and get an adaptation deal before you've even written the book. Then Carrie by Stephen King is getting a series adaptation by Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan is also currently working on an adaptation of Stephen King's The Dark Tower, but Carrie is going to be an 8-episode series, and it will be released on Amazon. Then Sebastian de Castell's 6-book Spellslinger series has gotten tapped for an adaptation. No casting or network has yet been announced on this one. Then it was announced that Anne Hathaway is going to star in the adaptation of Colleen Hoover's Verity. It's also been announced that Sally Hepworth's Darling Girls has been picked up for adaptation for a television series by Made Up Stories. Lisa Jewell's Then She Was Gone is being adapted into a film. And the thriller author Catherine Steadman has been tapped to write the script for this one. Netflix is also going to be adapting In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. Rebecca Yarros is the author of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. For those who don't know, she also writes adult romance novels. So this is one that's going to be getting picked up. Then Emily Carpenter's upcoming novel, Gothic Town, is getting a series adaptation for AMC. Abby AJ, the writer of How to Get Away with Murder, has been announced as the writer of this series as well. Emily's book releases on March 25th. I'm actually really excited about this one too. Both the book and the show obviously sound pretty interesting. It follows someone who I think lived in New York City and then because of like pandemic reasons decides to leave the city, move to like a small town and buys a kind of maybe haunted Victorian house that is kind of in disrepair. It sounds fun. Then the last thing that he told me has been renewed for a second season at Apple TV. Then it was announced that Anna Todd's production company is going to be doing the adaptation of Colleen Hoover's Regretting You. It's also being directed by the same director who did The Fault in Our Stars, and Allison Williams, McKenna Grace, Dave Franco, and Mason Thames are attached to act in the adaptation. Paramount Pictures has picked up Sarah Pinsker's novelette Two Truths and a Lie for a film adaptation. I believe this might have been nominated for a Hugo Award. Also fun, apparently Emily the Strange has been picked up to be adapted into an animated film by Warner Brothers and Bad Robot. Pamela Ribon is going to be penning the script, and she previously worked on Moana and on Nimona. Then it was announced that Maggie Ziegler and Levi Miller are set to star in the adaptation of Maggie Stiefvater's Shiver. Then just today, NBC released the trailer for The Swift Effect, which is a Taylor Swift documentary about the Eras Tour that's coming to Peacock on November 25th. And sticking with the music theme, Netflix is going to be releasing a Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter. This will be available to stream on December 6th. I'm pretty excited about this one. There is a Lego Twilight set that is coming in 2025, which will allow you to build your own version of the Cullen house. And finally, last but not least, Amazon has renewed The Legend of Vox Machina for a season 4. And I am officially losing my voice. So I hope that you enjoyed that news video. That again was so much information, so I hope that you had like a pen and paper handy. But that's everything that I have to share. I'm really looking forward to showing you guys my full book room once it's all set up. I might have to do another video or two here while we're still figuring out this bookshelf situation, but that's all that I have for this video. Let me know what you are most excited about, if there's any cover where you're like, that's the most beautiful cover I've ever seen. And yeah, that's all that I have for this video, so I will see you soon in a new one. Bye!